We often look at global poverty as a tragic accident, the result of a national machine that simply broke down somewhere along the way. In South Korea, the GDP per capita, the total economic output of the country divided by its population, reached over $30,000 in 2019. It is an economy engineered to learn from its errors and grow. But in Havana, the economic landscape has remained largely frozen in time for decades, caught in a cycle of visible stagnation. History alone does not explain the gap between these two realities. Persistent underdevelopment isn't a failure. It is a stable, functional system that produces the exact results its elites intend. Systems engineering suggests that if a machine produces the same output for 50 years, that output is not a bug. It is the design. To see how this machine works, we have to look at three specific gears: the use of excuses that can't be proven wrong, the deliberate cutting of feedback loops, and a leadership class that faces no personal risk for its mistakes. To understand why a country stays poor, we need to stop asking what is broken and start asking who the stagnation is working for. The philosopher Karl Popper identified a specific tactic used to protect failing systems: the bad explanation. This is a dogmatic excuse that can never be proven wrong, shielding a regime from any meaningful criticism. Cuba, under Fidel Castro, became a masterclass in the use of the bad explanation. For decades, the regime has blamed every internal failure on external factors, like the US embargo or the collapse of the Soviet Union. By pointing outward, they avoid any accountability for the system they built. The state claims to provide world-class free services, yet the reality is stark. Food is strictly rationed. Medical supplies, like syringes, are reused until they fail, and doctors earn a salary of only $25 a month. When a system refuses to correct its errors, the people are forced to correct their location. During the Mariel boat lift, over 100,000 Cubans risked their lives on overcrowded boats just to escape. The bad explanation isn't just rhetoric, it's a shield. It allows a regime to survive catastrophic failures without ever having to fix the underlying problem. Karl Deutsch, a pioneer in systems theory, argued that any healthy society needs feedback loops, mechanisms that allow a system to register pain and adapt to it. In a system designed for stagnation, these loops are intentionally cut. The wires connecting the pain of the public to the brain of the leadership are severed. Median age is the exact middle point of a population's age distribution. This chart shows the evolution of median age for Mozambique. Notice the solid black line. For over 70 years, it has remained stuck around 16 years old, structurally refusing to mature. Now, compare that to these trajectories of countries that transitioned out of poverty. As these societies learned and adapted, their lines curved upward. Mozambique, however, remains pinned to the bottom. We see the economic result in the country's internal savings, which have stayed below 10% for years. Without domestic capital, the nation is forced to rely entirely on outside aid to survive. The alarms of poverty and population pressure are ringing, but because the feedback loops are broken, the system has made itself deaf. This brings us to a concept popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb: skin in the game. It's the requirement that decision-makers must bear the direct consequences of their own choices. Elites in stagnant systems are often anti-fragile, meaning they don't just survive decay, they profit from it. They remain insulated from the chaos they create. In Mozambique, the leadership operates a rentier state, a system where the government survives on wealth extracted from foreign aid and natural resources. The elites capture the revenue while the public absorbs the risk. We see the same pattern in Cuba. The regime controls the lucrative tourism and black markets, insulating themselves from the grueling manual labor they demand from the rest of the population. When ration cards run out or hospitals collapse, only the public pays the price. For the elite, the current system is not a failure. It is a rational, profitable success. We need to stop using the term developing nations for countries that are actively maintaining an equilibrium of stagnation. Pumping more foreign aid into these systems rarely works. It often just fuels the elite's insulation, removing the very pressure needed for change. True progress only begins when a system is forced to take on risk. Leaders must be made to face the direct consequences of their failure. To break the cycle, a society must be allowed to speak openly, criticize its leaders, and adapt without fear of punishment. As long as a system rewards dependency and protects its leaders from their own mistakes, poverty is not an accident. It is the business model.